So look, we're talking about the final 2 years of the current contract, 2024, 2025. After that, they'll get together and go to the bargaining table about a future contract. But what can they learn, Heather, in this these last 2 years of what we have now before they do that?
Well, there are so many questions remaining, Wendy, and I talked to Laura Farber, who's the chair of the Rose Bowl Management Committee, and how the Rose Bowl works into this in the future in 2026 is still a question. There were no promises made to the Rose Bowl, but the CFP acknowledged the importance of the tradition of the historic day, New Year's Day, and the time slot, 2 o'clock Pacific time. And as they move forward and they watch these games in the 12-team format in 24 and 25, they will help them answer the questions, is having it on home fields the best situation for first round and maybe even quarterfinal rounds? Because right now in the 12-team format, the idea is to have the higher seed host in the first round, and then the quarterfinals will be with the bowl games. And so those are things that they will continue. Multiple TV partners in the next contract is something that everyone at the CFP would like to see. Right now, ESPN is currently the sole rights holder through 2025 and will have the first rights to broadcast those additional games in 24 and 25. So where the games are going to be played, the specific dates of those games have yet to be determined. They know they're going to be competing against NFL viewers for those playoff games. So there are still a lot of questions, but 24 and 25 is when they expect to learn a lot to help answer some of those, Wendy.
It almost makes your head spin. We're all going to have a PhD in playoff expansion. Heather, thank you. And again, the ready or not, here we come, because the final hurdle to expansion does appear to have been cleared. If you're wondering how it works, you're not alone. And again, it's a fluid situation, but here's what the new format will look like. The top 4 ranked conference champs get a first round bye, so they won't play in the first round. The other 8 teams at either the higher seeds or a neutral site they choose. There you go. The 4 quarterfinal games and 2 semifinal games will be the 6 bowl games, and then the national title game will remain at a neutral site the way we have it now. Look, it doesn't matter. We'll get to the details, Steve. The bottom line is we're going to go from 4 teams to 12, and we're going to do it sooner rather than later. Who benefits, do you think, in this scenario the most?
The college football postseason, Wendy. I mean, I go back to growing up. You didn't move from your TV on New Year's Day. Every game was huge and you wanted to watch it. Now, with the tie-ins, all those games are going to be playoff games. So you're going to have more games that matter. With the bowl setup now, with the 2-game semifinal playoff format, everything builds towards then. And now we got to lose, different games on different days because of TV situations and the NFL and all that. Now, the biggest benefiter of this new format is these bowl games. We are going to have a monster postseason now.
Oh, Steve, that's who benefits, but some of who may not benefit that people aren't talking about are the players. So now we're adding extra games to a college football season when we're already seeing so many players get injured. Blake Corum, done for the season. Hendon Hooker, done for the season. It's all great. Revenue's coming in everywhere, and schools are getting a lot of money and all these other things. But the players might have more access or ability or opportunity, if you will, to get injured. And now all of a sudden that might hurt your NFL career. And so that's what, as a former player, a guy who played 4 years in college, went to a national championship game, played in the Fiesta Bowl, played in the Holiday Bowl. Bowl games are great when there's one of them. But now when there's 2 and 3 and 4 extra games, it could hurt your future, at least when you're thinking about the NFL.
Sam, they are getting paid now. There is compensation now.
Yeah, not all of them. Not all of them. Not all of them, Steve. I mean, you're right. You're right. So certain players, like you make a phenomenal point. You make a great point. Some players are getting paid, and a lot of players might say, I'm going to stay in college, and I'm going to take my NIL money, whether it's $1 million, $2 million if I'm a quarterback. But there are a lot of players that aren't getting paid. A majority of players, if they are getting paid, it's very minimal. And so what I would love is, and Kevin Warren can go to this point if he wants, but there could be a conversation about revenue sharing. There's going to be a lot of additional TV revenue coming in with all these extra games, right? There's extra games, that's extra content. That means more money coming in from advertisements. So players should get a share of that as well, because only the quarterbacks or the top star players are getting a majority of the NIL money, not the 70% or 80% of the other guys.
Listen, I would say this to you both. Anytime you have a change of this magnitude, and we all know this, it's not a smooth, perfect scenario. You're going to have kinks that pop up. You're going to have to work things out. I have no doubt that we haven't seen probably the final resolution of all this, but at least now we know where we're headed. And if you're wondering, because I know I did, what it would look like this year. Let's say we were already there, right? A scenario we've charted for you. This is what it would look like, the 12-team playoff format. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC would all have byes in the quarterfinals. We talked about that earlier. That helps explain it. Those first-round games would be at the host site, and then the bowl games would follow. But again, we will not see this until the year 2024.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.